Hi, I'm Karen McDermott Rolfe, an independent advisor with Creative Memories, and today I'm going to share my Technique Tuesday layout and challenge for the month of May. I challenge you to use this technique to create your own layout. Take a photo of your layout and share it on Facebook into my private group called Karen's Croppers. Look for the album section, go to More, Media, and then Albums, and look for the Technique Tuesday number 35 album to add your photo to that album for a chance to win my May door prize drawing. While you're in the album section of Karen's Croppers, scroll through and you're going to find lots of albums with lots of other techniques and layout ideas. For more layout ideas and inspiration, check out my blog at karencrops.com. And I appreciate any of your purchases and orders at creativememories.com/user/Karen, and it's Karen with a Y. Today I'm going to be using the very lovely Our Moments collection that came out last month from Creative Memories. I absolutely adore this collection. I just love this color palette. The color palette really speaks to me. I think this tones here of the gold with some magenta, kind of a purpley color, some blue, gray shades, tans, grays. It's just really lovely, and it's really neutral, and it's going to coordinate with many of your different photographs. There are two paper packs for this collection. There's the Tone on Tone that's a little bit more tonal with subdued patterns. And then there's also the designer paper pack that has sheets of paper that have a little bit more pattern to them. There are stickers, there's embellishments, there's variety mats, and there's some very lovely laser borders that I'm going to use today also for this layout. For this layout, I am revisiting one that I created back in maybe 2014 or so, I think, you guys, and I shared it on my blog at that time, and it's an oldie, so I just wanted to revisit it and redo it with some current materials because it's a great layout. It's a elongated hexagon layout. I created these hexagon shapes with the trimmer. The shapes that we're going to make today are going to be slightly different. The angles are going to be a little different. I used our old 12-inch trimmer for this, and on the old trimmer we did have a score line, an angle line that cut at a 60-degree angle. So the peaks here on this layout are 60 degrees, but the layout we're going to make today will be at a 45-degree angle. And this is an older collection going back to 2014 with Creative Memories, but I thought it was just really lovely. I loved how it highlighted the single photo here of my granddaughter, and then I used some of the laser borders here, cut them apart to use them. So we're going to remake this today using photos of my second granddaughter, and we're going to create it in the horizontal orientation. This one was created vertically, and then the one we're going to do today is going to be created horizontally. So this one works really great with those vertical photos. The layout we're going to make today is going to work great with your horizontal photos, okay? So we're going to need just a variety of the papers. I'm going to use some of the designer papers and some of the tonal papers. We're going to need our 12-inch trimmer. You're going to need a ruler and a pencil too. So to get started, I've cut already some rectangle shapes that are 3 3/4. So that is 3 3/4 by 6 inches, okay? So 3 3/4 by 6 inches. I've taken my ruler, and I'm going to show you a few different ways to do this. So here I have one of our Creative Memories clear rulers. It's really nice because it has the 1/8 of an inch marks on this. So we want to find the center mark of this piece that is 3 3/4. So the center of that is going to be at 1 inch and 7/8. So 1 7/8, And that is marked here on this clear ruler, and I'm making a little line there at the top and the bottom. Okay, so you can do this with any ruler that you have to mark it at the 1 7/8. So that's the exact center. If you have the Creative Memories centering ruler, you could use this ruler also by laying the ruler on the top of the rectangle piece and centering it here between the marks. So say I wasn't sure exactly what that center mark is, but I'm looking at these 2-inch marks here on either side of my piece, and I've got it an equal distance here from each side. And then here at the 0 line is where the center would be. And again, that happens just to be at that 1 7/8 mark. So I would do that at the top and the bottom. And you're going to want to be as precise as possible, okay? Probably using a ruler will get it a little bit more precise for you. Another method to find the center is you have your rectangle piece that's 3 3/4 by 6 inches. And we're just going to gently fold it and give it a little pinch there to score it at the top and the bottom. And that's going to be at the center mark also. If you want to be careful, you don't want to get any sharp creases on your paper. You just want to get that little crease right there at the top and the bottom, okay? So that's another method. So after you have the center marks marked, you're going to use your 12-inch trimmer, and we're going to be using this 45-degree angle line on it. We're going to be looking at the dash cutting line that's on the far left. You know, there's 2 dash cutting lines. The trimmer is going to cut on the one on the left. And that is where we're going to match up the little line we drew with our pencil. The pencil line is going to match up with the dash cutting line on the trimmer, the line to the left. And then I've positioned the top edge of my paper here on the 45-degree angle. And now I'm holding it tight with my fingers, my hands, and I'm going to cut at the angle. So I've done the one side. Now I'm going to turn it over to the other side. And now I don't have the pencil mark anymore, but I do have that tip. So I can see where that tip is. And that is going to go on the dash cutting line. And again, the top edge of the piece is on the 45-degree angle. We're going to close the arm and we're going to cut it. So we have one side done. And now we'll do that with the other side. Again, we're putting the pencil mark, there the center mark of the piece on the dash cutting line. And then the top edge of the piece is on the 45-degree angle line. And we're going to cut and we're going to get this hexagon shape. So like I said, it's kind of elongated shape. And then we're going to save these pieces too. I'm going to show you some different ways. You're going to get a lot of little triangles, but those are good pieces to make a second layout. Here's the piece that I just kind of folded to get that center mark. You know, it's a little harder to see exactly where that score mark is. So I do probably prefer using the pencil method. It might be a little quicker doing this folding scoring method. But again, I'm doing the same thing there with lining up the center mark. The center portion there that's scored is on that left dash cutting line. The top edge of the piece is on the 45-degree angle line, and I'm cutting. And then I'm going to flip it over to the back side. I have my little peak here, my point, that center mark again is going on the dash cutting line. The top of the piece is at the 45-degree angle line, and I'm cutting. Okay? So either of those methods work. There's one more method. It might be, I'm not sure if it'll be easier or not, but some of you, I know when you're working with eighths, you don't see that so well depending on your ruler that you have or your eyesight. So this time I have a rectangular piece that is 4 by 6. Okay, so super easy, 4 by 6. And I'm going to find the middle, and we're going to know that middle is 2 inches. So that's an easy one to remember, right? 2 inches right there in the middle. I could fold it and score it, or I could use the ruler like I'm doing. So every ruler is going to have the 2-inch mark. You know, every ruler might not have those 1/8 of an inches. So after I've marked, I'm going to do the same thing now with cutting it. I'm putting that mark on the dash cutting line, the top edge on the 45-degree angle. I'm flipping it over. I've got the top edge on the dash cutting line, and the top of the paper is on that 45-degree angle, okay? So just what we did before. But we want this piece to be a little narrower, so when we put it on the layout, we're going to have some space in between our pieces. You can see it's a little bit wider here than my other pieces. So now at this point, I'm going to have to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side, okay? 1/8 of an inch is on that right dash cutting line. So you put the edge there on that right dash cutting line, hold your paper tight, make sure it's straight to get a straight cut. Flip it over and do it on the other side also, taking off 1/8 of an inch. Now we've ended up with 3 3/4, just like our previous pieces, more or less. I'm stacking them and I'm looking how they're like a little smidge off. You know, it's so easy to get a little smidge off too. And I can see this one is really, really wonky. So I must have done something wrong there, and I'm going to set that one aside. I do have some others pre-cut. But I was saying that, you know, when you cut your pieces initially to 3 3/4, you know, if you have them just shy of the 3 3/4 line, right on that line or right over a little bit, you can just get a little smidge off. So you're going to want to try to be as precise as you can be. If you use the pencil to mark your center marks, have a soft eraser handy, and you can just erase those little pencil marks that you drew. Okay, so you're going to do that with a variety of papers. Select the papers that are going to look the best with your photographs. And now you're going to do the same thing with your photos as far as cutting them at the angle to get those same shapes, okay? So I have this photo, so I'm going to cut it down to 3 3/4. And I'm going to leave it at the 6 inches, okay? So it's 3 3/4 by 6, just like I did this, the rectangle paper. And now I'm going to use the ruler to find the center marks. I'm going to turn it over on the back side so I'm not writing on my photograph. And I'm looking for 1 7/8 inches. That's the center mark, 1 7/8 inches. If you're using the pencil right on your photograph, do it lightly. Don't press really hard. You don't want to score your photo or have this mark show through to the other side. So again, 1 7/8 inches. You could also use our wax pencil here. That's great for writing on paper or for marking on photographs. So I have the center marks. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm lining up that center mark line on the dash cutting line. The top of the photograph is on the 45-degree angle. I did one side. I'm flipping it over, doing another side, and then doing this, the bottom edge of the photo. You can get a little off too with this if you don't have that point right there on the dash cutting line. That's your angle could get off a little bit too. So that's something else to consider. So that turned out pretty good. So now we're just going to lay out the photos here on a sheet of, I'm using paper again from this Our Moments paper pack. You could use the sheet of cardstock for this. Let's see, I had a little cheat sheet telling me maybe how I might want to lay it out. I was taking a look at kind of the color placement is something that you want to keep in mind. So you kind of spread out your different shades of color, spread out the shades of light and dark. I was thinking a trio of photos, kind of like that. Let's see, I was thinking maybe the brown. The purple is a nice bright color. That's going to draw my eye with that point right there to my photos. See how your eye is going to catch that bright color and go across like that. That was my thinking there. Think about which piece that you might want to add journaling to, because that'll be a lighter piece that you're going to be able to write on. Let's see, what color haven't I used that? This tan color. And then we're going to need some partial pieces. And maybe the purple down here. I didn't know if I wanted the two browns next to each other. I really like this gold paper. That might be one of my favorites. The lighter. And then I'm going to need a piece of the blue, I think. Whoops. I could cut another piece of blue to put here. And what color do I need here? Oh, I haven't used the brown. Maybe I will have the brown by the brown. It'll be okay, I think. Could have the brown by the brown, or I could put more blue. I kind of like it like that. Maybe. There we go. I think maybe like this, you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my repositional tape. It's going to be important to use the repositional. And I'm going to tape the photos down first. I always like to kind of lay things out first before I start to tape, get the positioning right, and then go from there. There it is. So I'm going to start with the center photo. And I am going to put the repositional tape really close to these edges. I definitely want those points to lay flat. And now I'm going to just kind of rub it here with my fingers before I lay it down to get off some of that excess repositional tape that might have run over the edge. That way it'll keep it off of my layout and hopefully it won't get on my photograph. And I'm just going to place it there. I'm not going to press it really hard yet in case I need to reposition it. So again, I'm placing the repositional tape on my photo, making sure I got it to the tips. Just kind of rubbing my finger right here to get any of that overhang off. And then if you notice here with my photographs, you know, I'm trying to be careful to make sure they're straight with the paper. And I'm leaving about 1/4 inch from the top edge of the background paper, about 1/4 inch or so in between them. It might be a little less than 1/4 inch. And now I'm going to do this bottom piece too. And then once you get a row started, you'll be able to fill in your other rows. So for these pieces here, I'm just going to put repositional tape on half of the piece. And I'm going to let it overhang, and I'll cut that overhang off with my scissors. So again, I'm trying to keep the pieces straight. I'm looking at the angles in between each, and I have it just hanging over there. Okay, so give me a minute to go ahead and get all of this taped down, and I will be back. Well, I finished adhering all of my pieces here to the layout, and I started getting a head start on trimming off these overhanging pieces. So I just used my micro trip scissors, and I went around and I cut them. You can cut off two sides with your scissors, and then after you get two sides, you can go ahead and use your trimmer to cut off the other two sides. Just line up the edge there of your background paper on the dash cutting line. I'm looking through the pieces here at my darker, kind of dark navy black paper there. Have that on the cutting line. Whoops, that trimmer arm doesn't want to close with this brown one, so I'm just going to give it a little snip there with the scissors and make sure the paper didn't slip on me. And now I'm going to cut it down. So now I have my 12 by 12 layout. Looks like when I did that, something happened here with these blue-gray pieces. See that? Something got cut off. Kind of strange. I'm not sure how that happened. So I will probably, I will redo these pieces here to fix that. I'm also going to go ahead and I was going to use some of these really pretty laser border pieces. Aren't they gorgeous? And I've cut them. Well, I've cut some. I've got a head start. And I was going to arrange 3 pieces. And I'm thinking like this. And like that. And to cut to size, what I've done, I've got to decide if I want the gold side or the gray side. Ooh, choices. Let's see, I was thinking to use these embellishments too. Something like this from the embellishment pack. There's a little title. I've got a little box there I could do a small amount of journaling on. And I'll probably adhere those with foam squares. So let's see, I'm looking at the color-wise now, if I want to use this. Oh, definitely I want it on this side. That just blends better. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, I like how it blends better this way. And what I've done is I've just placed it here on the pieces, and I'm going to just mark with my pencil where I need to cut that. And then I can either cut it with my scissors, or I could put it back in the trimmer and cut. And now I'm going to move it down to this piece. Just mark some little lines with my pencil, snip it with the scissors, and do my third and last piece. I'll have a tiny bit left over. I could easily turn this layout into a double-page spread. I might do that. I still have some more photos. This was a photo shoot of Sophia around her birthday time there. Let's see. And I'm just with my eraser again. I didn't quite cut off those pencil marks I made, so I just erased those. And then I would just adhere these down with the repositional tape. And like I said, I'd use foam squares there on the embellishments. So isn't that a lovely layout? I like it. You can fit, as many photos as you want. You could fill this up with a few more photos or some photos that you could crop into the smaller shapes. You can continue it here with a double page spread. Just continue with these colors starting on this side and just make it a double page spread. It'll be really pretty. It's just great for any layout. Along with this collection too, you see how neutral it is. Very nice. The embellishments, as I was looking through those to select some, I noticed there's a few different ones that have titles related to family, generations, our story, heritage. So if any of you are working on heritage albums, this would be a good collection for that with some good embellishments. Okay, so that's the layout. And I told you I'd give you some ideas for all of those little squares we ended up with when we cut these elongated hexagons, right? So these are too good to throw away. So there's lots of different things you can do with these. You could reassemble them into, whoops, those weren't quite the same size, were they? To squares. You know, you could butt them right up, make it a square, or leave a little space, okay, and do something like that with those on your layout. You could put them side by side like this, and you can create a chevron. Let's see, what color do I need? I'm just randomly picking colors here. If I were going to adhere it, I would think about it a little bit, about my color placement, color choices. Let's see. Let's do this. Whoops, it's got to go this way. Now you see the chevron pattern emerging. Again, I'm leaving just a little bit of space between them. And what other one do I need? Guess it would be like that. And again, I would probably adhere it with a little bit of gap in between the pieces. So here we have a chevron shape going across, okay? Let's see. Here's another one of the laser border pieces. Super pretty. Trying to think about how I might use it on a layout. I was thinking something like this maybe. For those of you who quilt, are familiar with quilting patterns, these triangle pieces are going to lend itself really well with doing some sort of a quilt-inspired layout. Well, let's just pick one. I was thinking like that. I think that'd be really simple and pretty. So something like that for the second one. All right, everybody, I cannot wait to see your versions of this layout, and go ahead and make a layout using these triangles and share them also in that album in Karen's Croppers. We would all love to see what you do with those leftover triangle pieces. And like I said, there's going to be lots of variation here. If you don't have any of the laser border embellishment pieces, you could use your border maker system and punch some borders to use there. So that's my layout, and here is my old layout. Let's see if I can get them both on screen at the same time. Still have all those pieces there on the mat. So both very lovely, two great versions, two great ways to use it. The orientation, however you like, very adaptable, very versatile. And please share them again to my private Facebook group, Karen's Croppers. Look for the album for Technique Tuesday number 35. All right, thanks everybody.